everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for NFT Art Creation, Collection, and Display. This is the second installment in our new K11 Conversations series titled NFT, the New Paradigm of Art and Culture. This new series seeks to explore the world of crypto, inviting professionals and experts in the field to take an in-depth look at the trending discussions around NFT art. Today, our talk will focus on how art creation, collection, and display has changed across all levels of the art ecosystem, and what that might this hold for the future of art. So my name is Denise. I will be your moderator today, and I am delighted to be joined by Gillian, co-founder and director of DigitalArt Fair, and Benjamin, chairman of Start Art Gallery, which is just a few floors upstairs, so if you have time after, do pop in. Now, before we dive right in, I'm just going to hand over to our speakers to share a bit more about themselves and what they're up to. So, Gillian.
Hi everyone. Hi, I'm Gillian. I'm the founder and fair director of DigitalArt Fair. DigitalArt Fair actually happening right now in Central and Queens Road Central in Asia Center Tower. It is the first digital art fair ever, which started in Hong Kong. We focus on immersive art, NFT art, AR, and VR. So basically, anything related to technology with art. Myself, I have been in the art industry for 12 years so far. So I started with managing international art galleries and museum collections, and moved on to manage another Chinese contemporary art gallery in Mayfair in London. And moved back to Hong Kong about 2 years ago and started Digital Art Fair. So I think that's a good question. And then Ben?
Hello, everybody. So my name is Benjamin Rameau. First of all, thank you very much to the organizers of this event. I think K11 is a very special place in Hong Kong. I know your chairman is a very famous art collector. And I think we're very lucky to be here and have our gallery upstairs. So I am the chairman of Start Art Gallery, which is 2 floors above. We'd be very happy to give you a tour after this panel. And we sell NFTs in the gallery. So this is the first permanent NFT exhibition in the world. And having in Hong Kong, where you've already got some of the biggest private collections, I think is also, I think, something we're very fortunate for. I'm also the founder of Jenny DAO. A DAO is an organization of people who own assets together and make decisions collectively. We did a raise, and then we used these funds to acquire NFTs. And it's been very exciting because NFTs are a very social thing. When you buy art and keep it in your house, it's usually for your own personal satisfaction, unless it becomes a museum piece. But when you've got an NFT, you've got whole communities that revolve around these. And having communities themselves deciding what should be part of the collection is going to be the future of art collecting, I think. So this is Jenny DAO. You're all very welcome to join and be part of the discussion as well. And in my experience in crypto, I'm a founding partner of 3 Commas Capital. So 3 Commas Capital is a venture capital firm. This week we have made our 100th investment, and we manage about $100 million of assets in total. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ben. Let's get right into it. I think let's start with, in terms of collecting art, how does collecting NFT art differ from collecting traditional forms of art? Now, I'm also going to hand over the remote, Julie. We do have a lot of amazing slides to show you guys, which will help you understand and see a lot of what we're talking about, whether it's VR, AR, and all this. So do bear with us if we're jumping a bit back and forth.
So I'll start with giving a little introduction of Digital Art Fair. So earlier, this is Digital Art Fair currently happening in Queens Road Central. The venue is 2 floors, and we separate it into 5 different zones. Immerse is with the artist Refik Anadol. Prestige, we've focused on quite a lot of well-known international artist. Pioneer is some more younger artists, mostly from Hong Kong, as we do have a focus on empowering Hong Kong local artists. And then we have virtual, which we use VR technology with the Oculus goggle, and Inspire Zone, which is kind of like what we're doing right here to educate the younger generation of art collectors and anyone who are interested to learn more about art and technology. I mentioned quite a few elements that actually is the focus of Digital Art Fair, including blockchain, virtual reality, augmented reality, and new media art and immersive art especially. So we are the first ever physical and virtual art fair in Asia. This concept, when I came up with this concept, was about 2 years ago when I was studying in Sotheby's in London. And we were doing a research on how blockchain would be able to authenticate the artwork and kind of revolutionize how art would be recorded and through selling and blockchain technology. When I started building Digital Art Fair, I thought to myself, I really need to build an impressive, immersive art room. This room particularly, we built this in Digital Art Fair. The idea of it is to give the audience and the art lovers a more interactive art experience through digital works. You walk in there and you are inside the art. So that's the concept of that. The vision of Digital Art Fair is to welcome the new generation of art collectors and the younger generation of art lovers. Because as the last 10 years managing art galleries from when I was 20 to now I'm 30s, I can see the shift of art collectors, the age of it. That idea popped up and built this immersive art room. As I mentioned, we try to engage the audience in a different way than traditional art world. This work particularly, we actually collaborated with Sotheby's to be our auctioneer partner. The work was sold on 4th of October on a Monday, and for the first time, an immersive art room in Hong Kong has ever been auctioned, and it was sold for 18 million Hong Kong dollars.
Now, Gilly, I just have a question for you about buying an immersive art room. What does it actually mean if I want to buy an immersive art room? Do I need a space to set it up? Is Sotheby's going to be in charge of helping me with that?
So this immersive art room is an NFT, right? So what does that mean? NFT is a non-fungible token, and essentially it's digital art. So when someone purchased the immersive art room, which is the Kinetic Capital, they actually bought it put into their art collection. What it means is they have the right to use this immersive art room if they want to install it, or if they want to just keep it in the collection, is put in a virtual museum or virtual metaverse. It's completely up to them. But essentially what they bought is they bought the right to use this room as a piece of art. So this is one of the pieces in the show. We totally in the collection of the machine hallucination by Rameau Anador. They actually total 8 pieces. They're sold between 2 to 6 million Hong Kong dollars per piece. So the idea, again, we're trying to integrate art and technology, be a display. So usually, traditionally, is a canvas or is a painting or a print. When we come to digital art, we use quite a lot of screens. So the immersive room or digital display, these screens are actually by Samsung, and they actually made to display digital art. So we actually work with Samsung to bring the experience to the art lovers to display art in a way that has never been done before. Well, I wouldn't say never been done before, but it's a more innovative way. And the next one is how do we display it in Digital Art Fair? So a lot of people come to Digital Art Fair and wondering, like, how do you show NFT art in a physical world? We decided to bring the NFT art, usually what you will see on the website, to your physical world. So there's a display just like this, and then we put the artwork, and there's a QR code, and it will show you exactly how much it is in Ethereum. And then if there were addition, we would say addition of how many. And the art collectors can use the phone and scan the QR code. and go on the NFT platform and purchase the work. So this is one of the artists that we work with, Derry Ainsworth, and he's a very well-known Hong Kong photographer. As I mentioned, that we try to bring in more Hong Kong elements, and because we are a homegrown Hong Kong art fair, so we focus on a lot of Hong Kong artists. Another focus we have, we do bring a lot of urban art culture from Hong Kong to the art fair. This is one of the installations that we did. This is actually one of the artists called Tsui, local grown Hong Kong artist as well. With the display, this is how it will look like in digital art fair. You can see it's untraditional, right? It's not white walls, it's quite dark, there's a lot of screens. And somehow we realized that is more, the screens actually make people feel more accessible, right? Like you can come over there, you can even touch it because it's a screen. But traditionally, if it were a painting, there would be like, don't touch it, don't come closer, don't actually come too close. There will be distant. And for some reason, we find out that people feel more comfortable when they look at the screen, and easier to have a conversation with them. So here is an example on how you will use your phone and you will go scan the artwork and see more information. And one other thing that we notice is it's much more easier for people to get information on the phone, because sometimes when you go in an art gallery or go in an art fair setting, it's rare that like you will come up to the galleries and ask them, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about this piece of art? Because some people do feel intimidated, or they don't feel like they're welcome to ask questions. But with technology and with your phone, you will be able to scan it and find all the information that you need on the internet. Another thing is, this is one of the installations that we did. You can see that you can sit on it. It's very weird that you have art sculpture that you're welcome to sit on it and interact with it. So digital art fair really try to do more interaction, more accessible for art lovers. Another installation, interactive art piece is the blockchain piano. So digital art fair, we actually have a lot of artists that wants to talk about what's going on with the digital art space. One focus is for sure is the blockchain and cryptocurrency. This is a live feed of the cryptocurrency chart going up and down on the piano. The artist's name is Henry Tsui, and he actually been commissioned by the M+ Museum recently to make an interactive art piece. And this piece especially is displayed in Digital Art Fair, is made for the fair. There's Henry. And when you play the piano, it's a quite interesting piece. When you play the piano, you're actually buying cryptocurrency live. So whatever you play it is purchased in crypto. Another element is the VR experience. We find out that it's very popular among young children and young adults. The Metaverse is something that is a very, very interesting word that people have been asking a lot of questions. What is Metaverse? Essentially, Metaverse is in this goggle, right? So you go in the goggle and you go into a completely different space. That's not physical at all. You can't touch it. You can't actually see it in real life, but you will only be able to see it through technology. So that's the Metaverse in that goggle. Last but not least, in Digital Art Fair, we do quite a lot of social projects. Unlike most of the traditional art fair, we focus with technology. We will be able to engage with NFT platform that is even though in Africa. So this project particularly we deal with West African community to sell the NFT artwork and bring back the resources back to the West Africa community. And the other one is the Coral Reef Fund that we have this initiative to plant coral. So every NFT we sold, we actually plant a coral in the sea. So these are the NFT that's available. They're all unrefinable if you would like to have a look. Another element that we have is the incubation project that we focus on Hong Kong art scene. You can see that the Leon side is very Hong Kong elements like it everywhere you go. And we gave these two young artists, Xiaoming and Kitty, an idea, a theme, and asked them to create something that is related to Hong Kong. And these are the artwork that's being created.
Thank you, Gilly. So as you can see, digital art as a medium, as a term, is very broad, and the breadth of work available that artists are making is incredible. The technology that's available is incredible. Now, I'm going to hand over to Ben just to go into a bit more about from the side of a gallerist working. So it's much more of a permanent space, trying to work with NFTs inside a physical space, so not just on a website. What does it mean to collect?
When I think that a year ago, global NFT volumes was probably about $10,000 a day. And now I think just the art fair alone is probably doing a lot more revenue than that in a single day. So it's, I think what you've done is really exceptional and is really bringing NFTs to the next level. So in terms of how art collecting nowadays is different from how it was traditionally, there's probably 3 mega trends I can think of which make this NFT movement very special. The first obvious one is that the world is moving digital. I think that it's very hard to deny that fact. And blockchain technology allows for digital ownership. And so you marry the two together when you have NFTs, where you've got immutable, provable proof of digital ownership for art. And this whole concept makes NFTs very special. There's the whole community aspect, which has changed. I think social networks have really taken off for probably the past 15 years. But when the Van Goghs and the Picassos came out, you didn't have social networks. And so you had communities of people around galleries, around artists, around art critics who would share common interests. It's really the first time now that you've able to get global communities to mobilize on social media. And NFTs allow you exactly that. You've got NFTs, which are art, you've got the artist, but then you have a whole community which gives a second layer to the art and gives a lot more depth. And then thirdly, I think the way we live nowadays is just very different from how we were living traditionally. And so one example of how the way we live has changed is just by looking by home ownership rates. So I think generally people have smaller families, more nuclear families. They tend to be more urban. And it's not surprising to see that millennials will have the lowest home ownership rates in America and probably globally. And when you have traditional art, you need real estate to store it. And most people just don't have the real estate space, especially if you talk about immersive art like Rafiq Anadol. I think that takes a very, very big house to own that one. And not only has our lifestyle changed, and probably the willingness to have bigger houses has changed, but also the affordability has changed a lot. And if you're looking at baby boomers who started buying their houses in 70s, 1980s, houses were just a lot more affordable. And this is America. I think if you look at places like Hong Kong, the chart would probably look a lot more parabolic. And the affordability issue for the younger generation, which is going to be the new generation of art collectors and define the next art movements, is just not able to necessarily afford the real estate space. And for that reason, I think that the way that we interact with the things that we own and the way that we decide to display it is changing a lot. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. I think that the wealth generation and the opportunities that have happened in the technology space are really unparalleled to anything that we've experienced in recent history. And I think that a lot of the people who have been part of this movement haven't necessarily matured to a stage where they start wearing pinstripe suits and living in nice offices. And you can imagine this person, he can probably afford to have a beautiful CryptoPunk, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the clothes or the house necessarily go with it.
Now, speaking of CryptoPunk, so say I head up to your gallery in a bit and I want to buy one of the NFTs on display. Once I purchase it, how is it stored? I mean, I'm not buying your actual screen. So where do we go from there?
You have a wallet, and we send the NFT to your wallet. And your wallet can be stored on your phone, can be stored on your computer, can be stored even on a piece of paper. Some people, I think, at the Rafik Anadol that was sold at Sotheby's came with a television and with all the hardware that you required to run it and display it. The reason I guess they did that is for ease of use, and maybe there was some artistic message around it. But I think the real reason is that Sotheby's is targeting non-crypto natives.
But also the file was too big.
But Gillian, I also know at Digital Art Fair, with the photography, there's a really interesting method of purchase too. Once we say scan that QR code, I'm buying the digital work, but I was also told I get the physical work, right? Yeah.
So with Digital Art Fair, we don't just go fully digital. We do try to keep both, because we do understand that most of the people who may not be the 2021 millenniums, they're still interested in digital art, but they don't really want to be completely digital. We give them both. So you can have the NFT and also have the physical print. You can choose not to have it, which there are people actually say, I actually don't want the print. I only want the NFT. But we give the buyers a chance to say, I would like both, or I would just prefer the NFT.
This is an artist I really like called Pboy. He's based in France. He does street art, and then he animates a little bit. But he's really one of the first crypto artists. So even before NFTs and JPEGs really became fashionable, he was already going in the streets, painting stuff, and embedding secret messages where you could extract Bitcoin from the QR codes or from the hidden messages. So he's really great. But you'll notice there's one thing about this NFT is that it does not fit on this television. And many NFTs are square, and the television is a 16:9 ratio. So 16:9 ratio is just a legacy reason. There's no real reason for us to have televisions this shape, other than that in the old days when movies were done on film, that was just a very convenient way to take the picture. And to display a square NFT is actually quite difficult. On your phone, on your computer, it's okay. If you want to display in your house, you start buying square televisions. And then I was telling you before that I'm the founder of the Jenny DAO, where we buy a bunch of NFTs as a community, and then we decided that there should be some way to display our NFTs. And when we're a decentralized community with people all over the world, there's really no effective way to have a museum or a gallery like we do upstairs to display specifically for the needs of the Jenny DAO. But we do have something even more exciting than that, which is our own virtual space. The sound is terrible, but it's Steve Aoki song. Steve Aoki and Blau, who are famous DJs, made a song specifically for the Jenny DAO. And then you can walk around our virtual museum, and these are Cybercons, these are squiggles, these are CryptoPunks. This is the Jenny CryptoPunk on my T-shirt. I was told by the lady at the gallery that I was dressed terribly for this event today. That I didn't make an effort. It was a conscious decision, even if it's bad fashion coordination. But these kind of virtual spaces are going to become very, very big. And I think especially for the new generation growing up with games like Roblox, for example, their lives in the virtual space, in the metaverse, are going to become at least as important as the ones in the real physical world. And people are going to have their own relationships, their own families, their own jobs, their own real estate, their own investments, their own life, which happens on a day-to-day basis in the metaverse. This is about displaying NFTs. People are coming up with new ideas all the time. And I definitely cannot fit this one in my house, but maybe some of you can. Or I can imagine this someday very easily becoming a museum piece.
It could be in the virtual museum, right? You can be in the virtual museum, and then you can put a goggle in there, and you can just go in there.
Let's do it. And so this is how storing art, I think, really changes from how it was stored traditionally.
And I think what we're also seeing now is new display methods, actually. we through both of you, we're seeing how NFT art is also displayed, whether it's on screens, whether it's through virtual reality, whether it's in literally the virtual realm and they're on walls. So thank you so much for that. Next, I'm going to ask you guys, what advice do you give to a first-time NFT art collector?
I come from a traditional art background. I'm from museum collections and galleries management. So when I work with a traditional art collector, my advice to him or her would say, buy it if you really like it. And I don't think that changed from traditional to virtual. It didn't change, because if you look at it and you don't like it, it may be just for investment value. Yeah, so be it, right? So you don't need to think too much. You just look at numbers. But you're really collecting out of like the love of art, then choose something that you really like and you really resonate with it.
I'm going to agree with that. Buy what you love. And the reason is very simple, is that what you're buying probably actually won't have that much value. So I've been doing investments for 7 years, venture capital investments. I think some things have worked, some things have not. And it's just the nature of the game. But equity investments that I've made in startup companies, it probably takes you about 12 months to realize that the investment is going to zero. When you do ICO type of investments, my experience has been that it takes at least 3 months to realize that it's going to zero. In NFTs, there have been cases where I've bought NFTs and within 2 days it's worth zero. So you might be lucky and pick the right one, but if you enjoy what you're buying, then the fact that the value goes up is just an extra benefit. And owning things like the Pboy that I showed you just give me a lot of satisfaction, even if I never count on selling in my life. So in the Jenny DAO, we try to find value, either by investing in the blue chip type of NFTs. So blue chip is a Cryptopunk. So Cryptopunk is the first NFT, successful NFT project which came out. I think their ethos is really deeply rooted in decentralization. All the information is stored on chain. It's got a very strong community. And these are the kind of art pieces which I think, first of all, will become museum pieces in 10 years, but also are becoming part of art history and will be in art history books in the future, will be taught in university. This is really the birthplace of a whole movement which is going to change culture globally. There's new artists who are less expensive, but I think have huge potential. And this example here is Sarah Zucker. So Sarah Zucker was one of the first crypto artists, and she's a woman, which I think is something that the NFT space has benefited over the past couple of years, thanks to NFTs, which has really brought a lot more diversity that we didn't experience, when I started about 6 years ago. And then there's these right here, which are called Cybercons. And Cybercons are NFTs which you'll be able to play with in a virtual world called the Sandbox game. And they will have utility, they will have their own economy, which is going to revolve around the banana coin. And I think that in a changing world where people's lives are becoming increasingly embedded in the metaverse, Cybercons is probably going to have a very central role in that. So, buy what you like. A lot of these are probably worth zero, maybe. Hopefully not by tomorrow, but you just never know. But these are all things that we really should be enjoying to have and to be able to use.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Gilly. I will keep that advice in mind. Now, before I open the floor for Q&A, I'm going to ask just one last question. Where do you see the future of art going?
That's a very big question, but I can tell. Yes. I'm not going to answer that, but I can tell you where Digital Art Fair is going. So after this year, next year, we're actually planning Digital Art Fair in London, Shanghai, and Singapore. Obviously, we're doing Hong Kong from this year, and every year we're going to do it in Hong Kong. And I think that said something about the popularity of NFT and the way that people actually change the taste, because from Digital Art Fair, we can see enormous interest in NFT, which is great for the NFT art community and also good for younger generation art community. Because with the younger generation, they were much more freedom than 2 decades before, 3 decades before to become an artist. So the new generation actually loving the NFT trend. And even for creatives and creators, they see so much opportunities with technology, not just for art, or maybe for music, for films, anything really. So I think with that interest and the request that we've seen, the world is really ready to go digital. And yeah.
It's a very difficult question because the NFT space is moving faster than anything I've ever experienced before. So I've been working in crypto for 6 years. The amount of creativity and new ideas that come up and the speed at which projects are born and sometimes disappear and innovate is just absolutely amazing. So to be quite frank, I just don't even know where the NFT space is going to be a week from now. Which is why at GeniDAO, when we've got wisdom of the crowds and we've got some of the brightest people in the space who come together and make decisions collectively, they're making much better decisions than I would make individually. I'm an quote-unquote expert, which doesn't mean I know very much. Honestly, I think I get surprised by what comes up all the time. But I think when we come up with these kind of decisions together, we're able to spot new trends and get onto them very early. I think we're still extremely early. It's really only been about 6 to 9 months that NFTs have become popular. But when you think about it in terms of cultural context, where we're defining a whole movement, it's going to be with us for the next few decades.
I'm going to open the floor up for questions, if anyone has one.
Hi, how are you? You have a bunch of NFTs. Are they yours, or have you asked owners, can we use yours? Because the rights of the NFT belongs to the user, whoever has their art on MetaMask or whatever platform it may be. So have you asked, is it yours, or do you ask the user or the owner, can we use your rights to present it to the public?
For the gallery upstairs, there's a couple of models. Some of the art we own. Some of it we hold on consignment. And some of them, for example, Suju from 3 Hours Capital lent us the goose from Art Blocks. And I can't remember, I think that one he bought for probably about $5 million or more than $5 million. And that was just displayed because we love the piece, and it's just a beautiful piece. But Suju made it very clear that he did not want to sell it.
But as for Digital Art Fair, that when we display the art, we work directly with artists. It's a little bit different from Start Art Gallery, I think, because they show more blue chip artists, which are already quite established in the NFT art space. Digital Art Fair is working directly with the artists. So we teach them with NFT art technology. We teach them how to display the work, and we consult them, should teach, because we give them ideas and try to bring the younger generation of artists into the NFT art space. So maybe one day after they finish Digital Art Fair, they might go to Start Gallery and say, hey, maybe I should work with you guys to display more art. But essentially what we want to do is to bring that power back to the artists, to let them understand that there are a new trend going on with NFT. There is something that you're a great artist, maybe you should understand it, and maybe that's something that you should do.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions?
Well, I don't know too much about this, that's why I'm here. The question is NFT kind of empowering graphical design to become more into the art space?
This is actually an interesting question in the sense that previously we might define fine art as separate to illustration, as separate to graphic design, industrial design, and so on. What we are starting to see is through NFT and through the digital media, more illustrators, more people with graphic design backgrounds coming through, and it's all coming together into the one realm we call art.
Well, being an artist is difficult. Making a living in art is very difficult. And getting discovered is difficult. And I think a lot of very talented artists end up getting designer type of roles because it's the best conduit to express their passion But art needs to live without a context and be its own context. Whereas I think if you're a designer, you're always being supported by an existing context. And a designer or an artist who cannot make a living by creating his own context will end up working for Coca-Cola and making really cool graphic pictures around Coca-Cola. But thanks to NFTs, now a lot of these people are starting to come back. And so one example is an artist called FVCK Render. And he was exactly like that. He was a graphic designer. He didn't like rendering on computers very much, clearly by his name. And now he's one of the most famous NFT artists.
I have a mentor. His name is Safar Navi, and he's a very well-known Parisian art collector. He's been collecting Chinese contemporary art for the last 30, 40 years. Everything, the big names, he has it. And he has this museum in Pingshan in Shenzhen, and he also has an art collection in Paris. So he taught me one thing about art is the art of our time. So what is moving forward is NFT, because this is the art of our time. What it means is essentially the way that we communicate change. So used to be the Renaissance time, there are artists painting the church, and then you have religions art painting Jesus or Greek gods, and then you have the contemporary art. And then now, because of technology, you use the phone all the time, you don't write letters, you don't really listen to radio anymore, you go online, you go on YouTube, you have Netflix. The way that we communicate change. So essentially, the art of our time is using computer generation. So, for example, illustration, graphic designer, they're based on computer. Essentially, the medium has changed, and the art of our time changed.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I certainly learnt a lot. Thank you, Gilly. Thank you, Ben. If you're interested in learning more about the Metaverse,
join us upstairs on 5th floor if you want to check out the Start Art Gallery.
I do urge you to. It's very cool. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.